Hi, ladies. Welcome back to our Thursday night Women of CrossFit webinars. We have one every Thursday, ladies, until November. So these are all the topics. I went to the Women of CrossFit group that has 33,000 women in it, and I asked them what they wanted to learn about that would be valuable to them. And so I had a whole list of topics. Well, enough topics that I started the first week of May, and I do want everyone until November. So that's how many topics. This came from the CrossFit community. It's not like I made these up or Dr. Carmen made these up. And so one topic that a lady wanted us to talk about was rest and why rest is so important. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about the mindset around rest. And then Dr. Carmen, you're going to talk about the physiological.
Yes, the physiological benefits of rest.
Okay. So I think so a lot of us don't want to rest because of thoughts and beliefs. And we have these thoughts and beliefs that are driving our behavior to not take a rest day, not take a week off, right? Or try to bank working out. I've had athletes do this. They want to go on vacation and they're so afraid that they're going to lose their gains that they try to bank all the workouts the week before they go on vacation. Right? So like they'll work out their 5 days and they'll work out another 5 workouts in hopes of banking their fitness for the week off. It does not work that way.
No.
This is not an IRA account, humans. And so fine, like, okay, Kim, beliefs are driving this. Like what do you mean? We have beliefs, a lot of us do, that I'm just going to start listing some of them, right? If I don't work out, I'm going to gain weight. If I take one day off, these people are going to get further along than me. If I take multiple days off, it's going to be harder for me to go back because I've lost my fitness, right? If I take multiple days off or I take a few days off or I rest, I'm not going to get gains as fast, right? Like I'm not going to build my strength as fast. Or if I take a week off, I'm going to lose strength. If I take a week off, I'm going to lose my cardio endurance, right? I'm going to get farther behind. If I spend a weekend not working out and eating crap, I'm going to get chubby. I'm going to get, like gain some weight, whatever, right? A lot of those thoughts and beliefs are what drives people to work out. And why? Why do they go ahead and work out? It's because they don't want to feel the negative emotions those thoughts and beliefs are creating. You don't want to take a day off because then your mean girl brain comes in and says, your friend of me is going to get a little bit fitter than you. She's out there working out. Or, that cellulite on your legs, that's not going to go away because you took a day off. Or that scale's not going to go down. And that mean girl makes us feel terrible, right? She's mean. And she makes us feel like we are not doing it right. We're doing it wrong. She makes us feel like we're getting farther behind, that we're wrong. We're not enough. We're not worthy. We don't have what it takes. We're not capable. We can't trust our bodies. That's a big one. But I don't think we even realize that that's kind of the rhetoric that it's creating. I can't trust my body to be fit and stay healthy and have a good metabolism unless I punish it with workouts every day.
Yeah.
Does that sound like some things you think? Right? We've all been there. My nose is running, sorry. And you get to choose those, right? Like if you want to have those and if you like that those thoughts drive you to go to the gym 7 days a week, or they drive you to feel guilty while you take vacation, like, so be it. I am not going to take those beliefs away from you, right? But I will ask you, are those beliefs serving you? If you think that those are beliefs are the things that are getting you the gains, that are getting you PRs, that are getting you fitter and more cut, if those beliefs are getting you the results that you want, then don't change them. But my question is, do you have the results you want? Are you PRing? Are you shredded? Do you have the six pack? Are you competing at the level of CrossFit that you want to compete at? I know you're going to say no, right? Because we cannot punish, hate our bodies into happiness. We cannot punish and hate our bodies into being a CrossFit Games athlete. We cannot punish and hate our bodies into having a six pack. It does not work. It won't work. You will constantly self-sabotage yourself. You will constantly fall short because your belief system is, I am not these things. You're coming from not enoughness, not worthy enough, right? That's the belief system that drives these thoughts. I'm not these things. I can't have these things. I have to prove myself. I have to like beat my body into submission. But because you believe that you aren't these things, you're not capable of these things, that is the actual reality that you create. So here's an example. I have been exercising since I was 13 years old. Okay. Up until I was 2018, so that would have made me 37. I had never taken more than a week off from the gym. Okay. All through college, 30s, whatever. Like I've just always been an athlete, always been in the gym. And then I've never had a six pack. I've ate healthy. I've worked out, but I've never had a six pack. Okay. Why? Because I didn't believe I was capable of having a six pack. I was doing all the things. I was working out. I eat pretty dang healthy, right? Like I don't really binge on anything. I might have like 3 chocolate covered almonds every day. That's not enough, right? To like sabotage. Yes. But I had a belief you have to eat perfectly. You can only eat fruits and vegetables that's it. Meat, fruits and vegetables, and water. That's the only thing you can have. You have to do that every day for the rest of your life to have a six pack. And I knew I wasn't capable of that. So I never had a six pack. I didn't think like a person that has six packs, right? I thought like a person that believed they weren't capable. So you know what I did? I underate. I didn't pay attention to my calories. I didn't pay attention to my protein. I didn't pay attention to food. I didn't want to track that stuff. Why didn't I want to track it? Because I didn't believe I was capable. Why waste my time? Right? Those are not behaviors that someone that believes they are capable of having a six pack does. Someone that believes that they're capable of having a six pack pays attention to their food. Am I getting enough calories? Am I getting enough protein? Right? They pay attention to that stuff. And they also believe they're capable of having it. And because they believe that, they take different actions that create evidence to prove that they're capable. They don't say, I'm going to have a six pack in 4 weeks. I don't have a six pack in 4 weeks. I'm not capable. That's what I used to do. I set myself up to constantly fail. And now that I've moved into a place of like, maybe I am capable. I don't know what I'm capable of, but I know this didn't work. Maybe I'm capable. I'm going to give myself a year. I'm going to pay attention and make sure I get enough protein and pay attention to my food and make sure I'm getting enough calories. And maybe if I do that, I'm capable of having my six pack by December. I'm behaving like someone that believes they're capable. So I kind of got a rabbit hole on that one. But it's the same thing in terms of like your mindset around rest. If you don't believe that you can be fit and you trust your body to be healthy and strong and make gains even when you're resting, you're going to create the results you believe in, right? And I've seen coaching all these years, being in the CrossFit world since 2012, owning a gym, I have seen athletes be driven by this negative belief system that they can't take a day off, they can't take a week off, they're going to gain weight, they're going to lose their fitness, right? They were driven by that, so much so that they drove themselves into injury. And guess what? When you get injured, your body forces you to take off. And you don't take a week off. You get to take 6 weeks off. You take 12 weeks off. And yep, you lose your fitness those 12 and 6 weeks. You didn't have to be there. If you'd paid attention to your body back here and invested in it from a place of love, invested in it in a place of like, I trust you, body, to create the results I want. I trust that even when I'm not working out, you're still making gains. So it's my soapbox. Like, we have to like start dissecting the beliefs that are driving you to not take rest days. Rest days are so valuable. They're so needed. It's part of the fitness journey. Like, you wouldn't go to CrossFit, and I want you to come do a CrossFit workout with me one time, Carmen. You wouldn't go to CrossFit and before, like, let's say you go to the 4 o'clock class. You're not going to go to lunch and eat McDonald's and then go to CrossFit and go eat Taco Bell afterwards. You're not going to do that, because you know, if I want to be fit, I can't out-train a bad diet. I have to eat vegetables that are healing to the body. I have to drink water. I can't drink Coca-Cola all the time, right? Same thing with rest. It's part of your fitness. It's part of the arsenal. Rest, working out, eating properly, drinking water. They all go together to be this complete fitness package to reach the level of fitness that you want to be in. There's my soapbox.
Exactly. To piggyback that, I'm glad that you approached it that way, because we're talking about rest days. It's not just the rest from the intensity of the workouts, but it's also emotional rest days, right? Yeah. When we work out, right, we know that in order to get those muscle gains, every time you work out, you're creating micro tears within the cellular makeup of the muscle bodies. Mm-hmm. Well, those things need to repair. And so if you're constantly bombarding the body with intense workouts, it never has that opportunity to fully repair. So then actually your muscle repairing process becomes into a deficit, or goes into a deficit, I should say. Mm-hmm. Which definitely directly increases your risk for injuries, for stress fractures, right? So we know that just from the biochemical perspective, in order for those muscle fibers and those linkages to repair, they need time, right? They also need, so part of that is they need time in between intense workouts. They also need adequate sleep. We also need to be sleeping, 7 to 8, 9 hours a night in order for that entire repairing process to occur. Mm-hmm. And this may not be so much an issue in the CrossFit community, but when we're talking about rest days, that doesn't mean sit on the couch all day, right? It just means not having as intense workouts that day.
Right.
Yeah. Because we know that we still need movement to increase our circulation, to get the nutrients and the building blocks to those muscle groups, so that you can have that repairing process occur.
Yeah. So it kind of means, like, correct me if I'm wrong, because CrossFit's very intense. It's high intensity, right? But you just pick, like, if you work out 5 days a week, 7 days a week, you pick maybe 2 days, like a Wednesday or a Saturday, where, like, I go to CrossFit and I only go at 50%. Mm-hmm. That's rest, right? It's an active recovery day.
Yes. Yes. So what happens when you have high intensity workouts, your body sees that as a stress, right? It's a physical stressor. And so just like any other stressor, to complete that cycle, we need a rest and relaxation component. If you're going hard 100% every single day, your body's constantly in this survival mode, and it never gets an opportunity to relax, right? So now
it moves from, sorry.
That's okay.
So you're saying, like, because we've talked about a lot on our podcast, Thrive Online Healing, if you're looking for it, but sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, stress,
Yeah.
versus parasympathetic. So I'm hearing you say when we work out hard every day, we're forcing our body to stay in the sympathetic nervous system.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Versus if you move into an active recovery day, right, or a rest day, then you're decreasing that intensity so that your body can be in that parasympathetic state that, you know, like, okay, I'm doing this out of enjoyment, and it's not in that survival mode. You know, you're running away from that lion feeling. And so I don't know if you've talked about in your community what happens with excess cortisol over long periods of time, but cortisol is that hormone that our body releases in response to stress. And so those high intensity workouts increases our cortisol, causing that cortisol to spike. And if you're doing that every day, then it becomes a chronic stressor, right? That adaptation in our body was meant to be 20 minutes to an hour. And so you'd have these spikes of cortisol, but then they would come back down so that we could be in that relaxed state. Mm-hmm. And if you're constantly bombarding your body with that increased levels of cortisol, that can actually increase or make it harder to lose weight, mm-hmm. harder to make those muscle gains, mm-hmm. because your body's redistributing the ingredients to be in that fight or flight mode versus in the reparative, oh, we're going to repair your muscles. We're going to use those resources, right, for cellular regeneration in that repairing state. And so then you're actually working against the biochemistry in your body if you're constantly, working out that 100% and not taking a break.
And it's really interesting because a lot of us use exercise as one of our tools in self-care, right?
Yes.
And I had no idea that working out was a stress on my body. I thought it was a way to relieve stress, right? And now that I understand it from this perspective, like, it's one thing to go do high intensity workouts every day that are in that window that our body's made to have, like the 20 minutes to an hour at this high stress level, right?
Yeah.
The problem is most of us are already in this high stress level because we're stressed in life. So now we're like double taxing that whole system, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So you brought up a good point, because we can definitely use exercise or even high intensity exercise to help manage or cope with stress, but you have to have that recovery, right? It has to have both sides, because if you don't, then if you're taking chronic stress home, at the end of the day, you're playing into that sympathetic fight or flight cycle constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So
Zoom is like totally like it's putting the brakes on getting fitter, stronger, faster.
Yes.
It's because you're just constantly like trying to push on the pedal and you're pushing on the brakes all the time with stress.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So you're not able to get those gains, right? You may get really frustrated because you're like, and it plays into that. Your mind's trying to prove that, right? It plays into our belief system. Oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. I have to go, right? Like I have to work out 7 days a week. And so you're kind of working against yourself on a couple of different levels, right? In the physiology as well as with our mind and our belief system.
Can I ask you a question, or do you have more to?
You can ask questions about this part. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I have a different part. I want
Okay.
to talk about like elite athletes and them training multiple times a day.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll circle back to that, or now?
Now.
No. Okay. So how does that work then for like these games athletes? Like they work out twice a day. Most
Yes.
of them do. And I know that they are like, this is their career, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I understand they have rest times and active recovery, and I'm sure that they have massage therapists and they do hydrotherapy. Like they are very intentional about supporting the body in recovery. So how does this work with like 2-a-days? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
So I think I know what you're saying. Like, how do they get in that parasympathetic state?
Like
When they're 2-a-days?
how are they not working against themselves by like working out twice a day? Like,
so if they're very good, so we can bring down that cortisol quickly, right? So the research shows us that doing things like walking in nature, right? Deep breathing for 2 minutes can significantly reduce that cortisol by 40% at any given time. So if they're deliberately starting the recovery, like, after that last workout, before the next one, then they can be in that parasympathetic state in between the 2-a-days.
okay.
Yes. And then I hope they're getting good quality sleep, because that's really what's going to help that repairing process.
Like these are like their career. So they're probably very intentional about everything. But I didn't want people to hear us say like, you shouldn't work out twice a day. You should only work out 3 days a week. Like some people are like training for things. I'm like, but I've got to. And am I totally negating myself doing this?
No. So it's that it's whatever works for people, right? To get out of that sympathetic state quicker, right? Is what's going to help you still make those gains by increasing the frequency of the workouts. Yeah. Does that part make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So what I did want to bring up though, when it comes to some of the literature and some of the research in trying to identify why rest days are important, I found a study in that they presented in 2017, and what they did is they followed, rowers. They were female Olympian rowers, right? That were training for the 2016 Olympics. And what they looked at is they looked at bone health, right? They looked at, because they were looking at from a perspective of how are people getting more injuries the more they work out, right? The more intense workouts are supposed to build our muscle. They're supposed to build our bone strength, right? We've seen this time and time again. Well, why is it those folks who are Olympian athletes, right, or high intense athletes who do athletes for a living, a career, athlete, why are they more predisposed to have like stress fractures, right? Broken bones and injuries. And so that was the perspective they took when they were following these women. And so they looked at when we think of our bone health, right? There's several different factors involved in how our bone grows. Right? So the attachments that our muscles have to our bones, right? Those are challenged when we have high intensity workouts, right? Just like how we have micro tears in the muscles, it's the same thing with those attachment points. So they need specific factors to be released in order to promote the repairing of the attachments, as well as increasing the density of bone.
Okay.
Right. So we think of bone density as like how strong our bones are. Yeah. Right. A lot of people have heard of osteoporosis. That's because our bones usually we lose density. It's becoming weaker. And so they looked at two specific proteins in the bone. One of them stops bone loss, and the other one stops new bone formation. Okay.
Okay.
So one is keeping your stops bone loss, so it's keeping the density, right? Yep. And the other one stops new bone from forming.
Right.
And so the one that stops new bone from forming is called sclerostin, for those biochemists out there. And so what they did is they followed them over, I want to say it was 9 months. Sorry, they followed them over 9 months during the training season. And what they found out is every time they measured these proteins, the sclerostin, the one that inhibits new bone formation, was getting higher and higher the more hours they were working out.
Okay.
So the higher and the longer they worked out with the high intensity as they were doing their training, the less new bone, or the density of the bone, was being produced.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So they did do x-rays before training season and after training season to see if they could find changes within the bone in that 9 months. They didn't see frank changes within the bone, but having the changes in those proteins was significant, right? It was significant enough that they're like, okay, they can start to make that correlation. The protein that stops the mineral loss was drastically reduced with the longer hours they trained.
Okay.
So that protective protein wasn't there to protect the bone, and then the protein that inhibits new bone formation was kind of through the roof.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of suppressing the bones. So then we can deduce from that, right, that is contributing to why high intense athletes and career athletes do have increased risk for injuries, specifically around the bones, right? That's where we see those stress fractures. So that's not to fall within the muscle overuse injuries, right? That's a different category. Right. I thought that was really interesting to see, because then we can kind of see what's changing, not just on the muscular level, but just within our bones, right? Yeah.
Questions from that study. They saw the increase in the how do you say it?
Sclerostin.
Was that due to they added time to their workout? So they used to work 30 minutes. Now they're up to 100, like 90 minutes. Or was it because of the volume? They were doing multiple workouts a day. Did it say?
It was the total time, the minutes. It was the total time. So they were working
something in a window of our human body, like beyond a certain window in our physiology of working out is when things start to go awry.
Yes. Yeah. So it didn't matter the frequency, it was the volume overall. Yeah. Okay. That's what they determined. Okay. So they also found that so the more training, right, they had, the more of the sclerostin, which also linked to more inflammation.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's when we're in that cycle of your body's actually physiologically working against you. The more minutes or hours you're putting in.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yes, that's what I wanted to share with you. We talked about, it was, the bone changes was significant, yeah, to me, but the inflammation, what maybe reread it, because I was like, oh, it also increased inflammation. But I mean, that it does make sense if we're thinking of inflammation as the body's repairing process, right? I mean, inflammation is the same thing that occurs when we get a cut and the cut heals itself. That's inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a little bit of a chronic inflammation because your body's constantly trying to repair itself in that window. But as the increased frequency of the intensity is occurring, there just aren't enough ingredients, right? There's just not enough to make up for that. And
it makes me think like the human body, like it's always primary objective, whether it's our brain or the body's primary objective is survival. It does not care about anything else, right? Like your dreams does not care. Survival first. So it sounds like once we work out past a certain time frame, like let's say you move into hour 3 of working out, that would be terrible. Right. The body is like, this is no long, like this isn't exercise. We're in a life-threatening situation. We've moved into survival. We're obviously, our survival is being attacked. There's no need to make more bone. Like we're facing imminent death right now. So we have to go into mechanisms that try to keep this organism alive. So it totally makes sense that it's like, nah, like I'm not gonna like spend time making bone. Like we're in a situation that we're gonna die in the next 2 hours.
Exactly. Our body's very smart. And we talked about this maybe last week or the week before, that our body at younger ages, right, can take that abuse a little bit easier. But then as we get a little bit older, we have to be aware our body doesn't take that abuse as well. It has to have that recovery.
Yeah. And I always like to like put a caveat. The reason it doesn't take the abuse as well is because you're already abusing it, and you have been with just being an adult and being stressed all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if you live like a stress-free life, it's like totally, you'll recover fine. You can perform well, but the rest of us that are kind of stressed a lot, like we have to be cognizant of it. Stress impacts my performance. My performance creates stress. I have to be intentional on how I'm going to move from stress, sympathetic, into parasympathetic to support my emotional health and to support my physical health and my fitness goals.
Exactly.
Anything else?
I think those are the big things I wanted to share with you guys tonight.
Okay. Cool. So that's what we got, ladies, friends. If there's some gentlemen on here, we're always going to hammer stress. Like you have to do the mindset work to manage your stress well, because it's working against you aging. It's working against your fitness goals. It's working against your mental health. It's working against your health. Like it is the biggest contender that we have to deal with if we want to live healthy, happy lives. I hear an amen in the back.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Carmen.
Oh, you're welcome.
We'll see you guys next week. I can't even remember what the topic is. Let me see here. Here's my paper. Let's see. Next week's topic: coming back from injuries, pregnancy, the mental game of previous results versus comparing your current. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. So
that's a good one.
Me for the next month, and then Dr. Carmen will join us again back in August, I think.
In August, yeah. I look forward to it.
All right. Bye, friends.
Bye.